technology that we have, we cannot blame our kids, because literally before COVID, it was not just parents, it was the gadgets who was bringing up kids, right? For an example, if I would go out with friends of mine who have little kids, the parents would talk to me, and the kid would be given the mobile for a while so that he can sit and play. A 2-year-old who couldn't even speak properly, when I met her for the first time, I got her attention only when she spotted my iPad. They are not to be blamed. It's the technology that had changed the world so much that their entire communication, their entire concept of the world was very different. They knew that this is how the entire world is structured so far. Suddenly it has come down. Interestingly, they are far more technologically prepared than we are. A kid doesn't need a manual to use a gadget, we need it, right? So yes, the kind of schooling techniques, the kind of learning techniques from the technology, I think the parental guidance will always be required, because you cannot bring up a kid without a village. So the parents has to be there, but the technology acceptance for the kid is going to be really fast. And interestingly, for parents, this is the right time to invest on the direction that they want their kids to be. For example, we had that great funny question which was asked to our honorable prime minister during one of the Mann Ki Baat, that kid plays with PUBG all the time, and the mother asked the question, and his answer was, let him play. He knows technology better than you. All you need to do is to guide him to the right direction. This is where we are right now. The kids are better prepared. We just need to guide them. Yes, the entire confinement, the entire sudden change, the entire instability that they see, right? If their parents' jobs are at stake, if there's, God forbid, I pray none of these scenes happens at home, but there had been rise in the domestic harassment issues still since the COVID began. So, God forbid if the kid has to go through all these things, this will have an impact. Other than that, if the parents are on the forefront of bringing up the kid in a stronger note, I think this is the time that they are going to prepare themselves for better. And the homeschooling, which was big in US, big in Europe as well, was not really big in India. I see a kind of a leeway which this COVID has created. So, these are my point of views. I'm looking forward to hear Riddhi and Lubna.
Okay, thank you, Madhu. And Riddhi, your views on this?
So certainly, this lockdown has got lot many issues, not only for the parents, also for the children. It's alien for children as well as parents also, because none of the parents have seen this situation before. Okay, so it's equivalent. They are on the same page at the moment. It's just that parents can deal with it with little maturity, which kids will need support, right? So here, I would suggest that when the lockdown is difficult for everybody at the moment, yes, as Nabomita says, since I run Lajja, that's India's first forum for women, on an average, I have around 8 to 9 calls coming up about domestic violence. I understand. And this is what the children are seeing. Okay, I get so many calls in a day, 41 cases, over calls about nervous breakdown on children. So my main concern is, whereas one way when lockdown is, mutually creating a lot of bonding between the parents and the children,
yes,
simultaneously, if the technology aspect, where the schooling is happening on technology, with the use of technology, where children are passing their time along using the maximum time is on technology, if parents are guided well, and if parents guide their children well, the negativity or the negative use of technology would not impact the children. So how to use technology and how to make technology your best friend is what the parents need to talk to the children, and this is the right time. If not addressed today, you don't know how the future is going, because none of us are aware at the moment what is the post-pandemic situation.
yes,
Probably homeschooling, as Nabomita says, homeschooling might increase. Okay, or probably the schools might not open till November, December, who knows? None of us are aware of it. So at the moment, if the right use of technology is explained by the parents to their children, that's where the children would be able to make a constructive use of the time of this lockdown time they have got. Because as I always say to all my parents, and all the webinars I'm doing currently, that ye time dobara nahi aane wala. So make the maximum use of it, but in a very, very positive way. Secondly, I also suggest that parents need to be a little cautious, a little aware, and little cautious as well. So in short, I would say the parents need to be mindful, because it might happen that their emotions or feelings might escalate to their children as well. So in this situation, it's better that mindfulness is something which the parents need to imbibe, and that's what needs to be escalated to the children. So things to keep children busy is needs to be done by the parents, needs to be taken care.
So it's basically, up to us as parents.
Absolutely.
And, right,
Absolutely.
yeah, and plus since we have the online classes which have started, so for the teachers also, together, not they're not going through the entire session of 6 to 7 hours, but at least whatever those 2-3 hours are there.
It's a huge responsibility, Prashant, on the parents and teachers both, educators and parents.
Definitely, yeah. So Namrata, yeah, your views on this.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with Nabomita and Riddhi, completely agree with the points that they've mentioned. But I also have another little perspective to give. The best part that this time is the time in which it's happening is summer vacation. I think since childhood, we all have seen that, these 2 months are times when we are mostly at home. Yes, there are times when we go out and we are playing, and that is something that we are restricted from. But I think parents are used to having children at home for these 2 months. So the good part and the a positive side to at least look at is that, okay, we have that little time which we are used to, from the mindset that yes, it's summers, there's a lot of heat outside, and you prefer your children being at home in that much time. However, yes, children are not used to being around. Parents are not used to being at home all the time, and they are within those four walls throughout with each other. So there's going to be a lot of emotional transference happening time and again. There is going to be, what do you say, disconnections between each other also. And what I believe is children are very used to certain rules in their life, from childhood. कि ये time पे
Yes.
उठना है, ये time पे सोना है, ये time पे school जाना है, ये time पे school से आना है. So, these certain rules, you can't call them rules, but they are a sort of routine that they follow, which is very set in their minds. And I feel at this time, what is most important is for parents to set a routine for their children. If you set a routine, you will see the children won't find it as tough, because their minds are trained for a routine. Because since childhood, the way schooling happens, the way their routine goes every day is a particular time, wake up, then you go to school, then you have your dabbar at a certain time, then you come back, that tuition paro, ye karo, padhai karo. It's a very set routine, and I think that is something which parents need to define all over again. If you define that all over again, you'll find it as being a very mutual way of working together, rather than it becoming as something like, oh my god, I have to handle this, and feel helpless. I think we should look at more of solutions rather than looking at the problem. Yes, the problem is there, it's unavoidable, we can't do much about it, we need to accept it. And yes, this may prolong for a longer period. They are saying even if, for example, the lockdown opens, it's not like you'll be able to be out in groups. You will have to restrict yourself to as small groups as possible. And as we know, schools or colleges or companies, they are all big groups. So for India or anywhere in the world, for you to get back is going to take some time. So I would say take it as a year or two, for that matter, for us to get back on track, because this is the first time in about, I think, last 100 years that this is such a long lockdown that we are going through. So it's definitely going to have a very great impact on children's mindset, because they're clueless of what's happening. But it's our duty to make sure as parents to put them into a set, and also communicate with them openly as to what is happening and how and why we need to do these things.
That's
Yeah.
so how beautifully it has been spoken about on the routine by Namrata, and I agree, because But yeah, I would add a little here to it is if a parent puts a routine in a way, kind of unlearning the whole concepts and making the child relearn about the routine, and this routine can be more on the mindful aspect, more on the mental wellness aspect.
Yeah.
That would really,
Awesome.
that will not let any issues affect the child, because there's a lot of insecurity in the society at the moment. There's a lot of uh, anxiety. I see children fearful about their future. I get cases when they don't know 5 years, 6 years, 6 months down the lane, they've taken up the admission in foreign countries, universities, but they don't know whether they're going or not. So when there is so much insecurity in the society, if the parents can unlearn the whole system, what they have been into the routine, and make them relearn about keeping in mind mindfulness, is something which is going to work tremendously on the children at the moment.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. And, let's talk about technology.
Yeah.
The use, misuse, or, you have this mobile apps, especially, the younger, the elder kids, the teens and all we are talking about, right? They're getting so much me time, what they call it. Okay, lock themselves up in the room for 4 hours, 5 hours with a mobile in hand. So how as parent we can, I don't know, like, should we stop it or should we limit it? Like, what do we do about it? Nabomita, you're
Okay. Prashant, this is an old Chinese proverb that the only way out of the forest is through it. So when the storm is there, all you can do is to face it. You cannot stop a kid from using a mobile phone. You will,
right.
I mean, you will create even more bigger devils. You do not know that. Rather, yes, you can at least have some kind of a moderation, but even that is not possible for every parent minded. Not every parent. Riddhi post a lot on Facebook, and that's how I would quote, not direct post from her, but there are posts from her which shows that the parent might not have invested right from the beginning. So by teens they are distanced from their kid. So a moderation in the technology is not possible for every parents again. However, kids are curious. Kids are energetic. Kids want to be included. That's exactly where the opportunity for each parent is. There are different programs, right? There are hackathons. There are, I can run out of time. I won't run out of such programs, which are run by right from Niti Aayog to startups, wherein they are involving users to build a product which is user friendly, and these are either edutech product or these are some kind of a product which involves a lot of kids. So if the parent invests enough to figure out those kind of avenues and channelize the kids time, curiosity and energy into that, it is going to pay a rich dividend. I mean, last year I met a kid who was in class 11, and he said that I want to have my own startup. I said, you are too late. I know a kid who's already running one in class, and he's in class 8. So he said that, what can I start with? I say, you tell me what you want to start with. In 5 minutes, he came up with the fact that I want to run a blog of mine. I have a plan, and his plan is actually something that he can implement and he can earn out of it. Not a big amount, but anything that he earns is definitely a gain. So I was like, wow, you did a great job. Let's do it. And I connected to him to a couple of people who would take him in that direction. And the parent who were probably an hour back, little skeptic over their kids owning a smartphone or something, but in a different point that अभी तो ये बच्चा मुझसे ही पैसे मांगेगा ना ये वाला blog start करने के लिए. So this is what I would say, that you cannot fight the storm. If you were not prepared for it, right now is the time to identify which direction you want to turn to, and you have to go towards it fearlessly. So if you have a kid interested in technology, it's your gold mine. You have to invest first to understand where the opportunities for him is, and you have to get involved accordingly. I mean, the kid whom I'm talking about is definitely building it along with his dad in that project. So that's the kind of support, and that's the kind of that's the kind of system that I'm talking about, which requires to be built. Obviously, that requires a lot of time, effort, and patience from the parents. It's not just money. Earlier, so post pre-COVID situation, parents would spend on their science projects and everything, and may not have to invest so much of their own physical face time as much as they are doing now. Yes, it is a lot of work for the parents, but it's a gold mine. Take my words.
Yeah, Riddhi.
Very
Yeah, Namrata, sorry.
So very nicely said, Nabomita. And what I believe is that, see, every situation has a pro and con.
Yes.
Everything that you get into, you either look at the good in it or you look at the bad in it. It's up to us of which one do we choose.
Yes.
And though technology definitely is the upcoming space, and we definitely cannot move it out of our lives, but let's look at the good that we can do through technology. Definitely there's a lot good that we can do through technology. What parents need to do is give direction to it. I think parents leave their children
Absolutely.
completely with the gadgets and not give them direction. What's important is through the day you keep talking about certain topics, certain areas that would interest the child to go and look onto, on the internet. And I think this is working brilliantly with a lot of children that I work with, where I just speak to them. I don't tell them go and research on this. They don't like to be told. You just
Yes.
create a curiosity in them.
Yes.
You create a curiosity in them. You will see that they will be the ones who will go research and come back on the next day and actually share with you. I think that's the best part, and I have such brilliant children who actually come forward, give me a call and tell me, you know what, this is the topic that I searched on. You were talking about it yesterday. And I said, oh God, I absolutely forgot that I was intentionally talking about this. But they come back with such brilliant information on it. And I think that is something that we need to do as parents, is build that curiosity. Talk about it a little bit every now and then you will see the child wanting to learn more. So have those tactics of how do you build that curiosity in children and give it direction after which. So that way technology will not work as a con in your life. It will work as a pro in this timing that they have so much with themselves and with the parents. And I'd say as parents, become a part of it. Don't let the child be alone doing it. You must become a part of it with your child. Once you become a part of it with your child, you will see that as a team you will start enjoying it. And you need to team up with your child. Don't keep the child independent and you independent. I think nowadays children are also very mature enough, and they understand any and every topic because they have so much of exposure that they know everything almost that's happening around. It's not like they don't know of what COVID is and what is happening. I think they listen about it quite a bit around, but it will be nicer for you to give them more on it, so that you can together keep discussing it, and they also become more mature as children as to what topics are happening around them.
Right. Very
Yeah, Riddhi.
beautifully explained by Namrata and Nabomita. So yes, let me share an example. So currently, I run around 16 TED clubs across India. All my TED clubs are happening with the use of technology. I'm doing online. And even an 8-year-old is going online to attend this TED session for 2 hours.
Lovely.
Okay. So this is a very brilliant way of using technology. But I would also say that when your studies is happening online, while a lot of classes are happening online, co-curricular activities are online, it is a responsibility of the parent to reduce on technology for themselves, to lay an example for the children. Because at the end of the day, technology is not alone. There are a lot of other things which a parent needs to imbibe in a child. There are a lot of value-based things that can be done. Just for example, if the child wakes up and if the mother is in the kitchen, even if she's working or she's not working, either ways, but if she's in the kitchen, why not involve the child in making breakfast? Why not involve your child in using, doing lunch a little, maybe a little peeling of potato skin, a boiled potato, which is not harmful for the child, but involving. And post 10 or 11, I guess you can even give up salad cutting or something that's also the child is understanding a lot of other things in the house. Secondly, what will happen is that a child will understand what the mother is working or taking care of, because there are many children whom I have come across who feel that the mothers are doing nothing because they're not working and going to the office. It means that they are doing nothing. Okay, so it's a beautiful situation that has been thankfully to lockdown, that a mother can know what is the work she's handling within the house and, you know, kind of involve the child in it. If the mom and dad both are working,
Yeah.
it's beautiful that it would be wonderful, sorry, to involve the children in day-to-day
Yes.
course. Along with it, spend some time together, maybe uh, creating a new board game instead of playing the ones which you already have, or creating a family tree, you know, which the children might not be aware, because there are a lot of nuclear families these days. So why not creating a family tree, or making children aware of the relations, right? So that much time your child is off technology, you know. I don't deny that technology is a lot of benefits, but I would also suggest that if few hours, if the child is not there, the child is also going to learn either ways, right? So like, even if you are playing together, or the mom is cooking or the child is cooking, click photographs and create a virtual album out of it. So it's a beautiful memory album you are creating when it's all about lockdown, right? So it's a mutual way. I mean, use technology as equivalent to the time you want your child to spend on technology. There are other avenues also to keep your child busy, because when it's too much of use of technology is happening, there are other issues happening in the life of a child, is where the child doesn't understand a two-way communication. The child doesn't understand what the child is eating, or, you know, I'm talking about the younger toddlers and all, they don't understand what they're eating. It's a lesser use for till 10 years would be advisable.
I want to add something. There's a question by Anjali, right? Since Riddhi mentioned it, Anjali, let me answer you. And Riddhi had already shared a process on how to involve a child, but your question is if the child is unwilling, if the child is
Right.
not ready. Honestly, no child is ever ready for any kind of labor. Absolutely. I mean, let me give you my example. My mom taught me. My mom, we are three sisters. So my mom taught us everything. I mean, right from singing, dancing to beautician, everything we had to learn. Yes, since our school days, and I hated it. I was a tomboy. What do I do with all these beautician basics like trainings? I mean, it was like, I don't want to be there. It's so uncool. Ma never listened to me. Swimming, everything, sports, what she pushed us to learn. We did not have a choice to even voice our opinion. Right now, obviously the kids are not like that. Even though at my age, I'm grateful to my mom. My mom is made of pure gold. She trained us in all these things. It is helping me like nothing else. So, I mean, the tiniest skill that I learned because of her rules and all, it is definitely paying me rich dividends. But coming back to the point, the kids of today have different sensibilities. You cannot push them the way we were pushed in 90s. They're pent up. What Riddhi touched upon is a huge area. It's a huge dark area. They're pent up. Uh, I don't want to call it aggression. It's that their pent up sensibilities have barely been touched by any parent or anybody in the family until and unless there's a trained counselor around. This is a case with everybody, right? Most of the childs have that in their map of psychology somewhere. It is there. Uh, Now, how do you trade in such an area? You do not know where the entire dark area is, where his pent up or her pent up anger is. So yes, you can either take a psychologist help, you can take a coach's help, or you can easily start spending that amount of time to understand it on your own. Yes, you may not do a great job as a trained person or a certified person might be, but as a parent you still have your own sixth sense, so you might be able to sense it. It might take you some time. It is not going to happen in one week or 2 weeks time, maybe 6 months or maybe even more. I do not know how long it would take for your child to open up. But until and unless you do that, until and unless you get there, you cannot really have a child's full cooperation, at least in today's aspect. I would suggest, if you do not have that amount of time to invest, talk to a trained counselor. Yeah, take a support. In India, yes, Riddhi, let me tell you. Let me say this out loud. In India, earlier it used to be a taboo to talk to a a psychologist, right? We consider it to be, she's talking to a shrink, which means she's gone somewhere. Interestingly, that concept changed. That concept has changed a lot.
Absolutely.
We do not, we do not think twice before getting a coach or a counselor for ourselves. Do not think twice for getting it for your kid too. Start it early. Get them to be trained on those mental models, mental map. You are investing on his entire life, on her entire life, and you are building the self-esteem. There is no secondary to it. You have to go ahead and build it. In 90s, our self-esteem did not matter to our parents. And I'm so grateful that it did not matter. They taught us. In 2020, I do not know how easy it would be for your child to get away like that. So I suggest make a plan, talk to a trained counselor, work it out. Do not just sit alone there with the problem. That's my suggestion.
Very true. Very true. Nabomita, I think brilliant and amazingly said that, this whole stigma has now started changing definitely. And I won't say just for common man or people in common, but even us as counselors, we have counselors for ourselves. So, we become so open to the whole idea that you definitely need somebody in your life. So if we as counselors need somebody, then I think even after being trained in this field, we need somebody. Then I think everyone around us, it's time that we start accepting the fact that you need somebody with an objective perspective in your life, so that you do not move into a space where it becomes hard for you to handle it. That's the main reason. It's not like after you get a disorder, you go to a psychologist. Remember, going to a psychologist means you are just looking at more clarity in life. You just want to understand yourself further to be able to live a better life. And same for your children. It's the earlier you begin with, the easier it is, because children not always can share everything with their parents, not always can share everything with their friends. But if it's a third person who's completely has an objective perspective and is not judging you at all, in fact, they become so much more friendly. Children become so friendly. They actually talk about their deepest and darkest truths and take guidance on it and do it. I think that's more important, that there has to be somebody who knows of what is going on in their lives. Then they will not go on the wrong track. A little bit of everything, I think, is a part of their lives, and it's not something that we can ignore. For example, if we tell children, okay, don't go clubbing tomorrow, I know that they're going to go someday in their life, because I think all of us also have had that curiosity. Oh, I want to go clubbing someday. I want to be out in the night at 2 a.m. That's something we have felt, and I think the same is what this generation feels, and they might feel it even more. But as counselors, we are very, very objective about it. We won't judge them based on that, but we'll at least guide them as to how far can they go, so that they don't get into any trouble. And that, I think, a lot of parents have now become open to it, and thus it is changing the way. So the children who already come into this zone where they have a counselor for themselves, I think life is far more easy. I'm sure, Riddhi, you agree that these children take you as somebody who they really look up to, and that's something we enjoy doing for them. I love seeing these children grow into a different person from where they came to me. So that is an amazing, because so with me, majorly I work with more of the youth and adults than children. But when it comes to the youth, so 15 and above, so if you see even them, the way they come at 17 and 18, and then after a year or two, you look at them, you feel a sense of achievement yourself, because their mindset completely changes. They're doing the same things, but with a different mindset. And that's what's most important, is to train their mindset in the right direction at that time, and the rest of their life is really sorted. So like somebody asked, Anjali was asking that if the child is not ready, so what you need to do is you need to build a mindset in the child from the beginning of being open to experiences. Some children have been given a very set life, set routine. When I say routine, don't make it very set every day. The routine, the timings may be the same, but what you're doing through the day may differ every day. Now this is like homeschooling. Homeschooling does not have a set structure. It has a set timing for things, but in that timing you plan new activities for them, you do different things with them, you create new activities for them. So it's time for you to utilize your right brain also. We all have become too left brained, and everything has become too logical in our life. So it's time for us to activate our right brains. So it's not just children who need to grow, but I think it's we also who need to start growing in this space, where we start working on using our own right brains so much that there's more creativity in life, and you'll see that you'll start eventually feeling much more happier with things happening around. Yeah, what do you have to say on this?
Superb. So, in fact, I was looking at one of the query when I spoke about mindful routine. The parents had kindly explained. So, let me just give a little glimpse of what mindfulness is during the day. आप सुबह अपने बच्चे को any age group, if your child is living with you and are going to wake up your child, if it's below 10, आप थोड़ा मस्ती कर लो, थोड़ा touch. What the children need is touch, okay? And the energy just boosts up. If the child is above 11 and 12 who doesn't like a lot of musty or touch and all, you can just wake them up with a positive stroke. Okay. Other ways of talking is whenever you're cooking something, talk about it with the children. What up menu set karo bachcho ke saath. It's being in here and now. We are not thinking about the past. We are not thinking about the future. We are talking about in here and now, wherein we are talking about our brain and body both are connected with each other in the work what we are doing at the moment. Right? So schedule it such a way that your child is involved within you, within the family structure, within in all the daily chores you're doing, and in everything that you plan to do involving your child. That matters, and that's called a mindful way of setting up a routine for your child. आप सोते वक्त और जगाते वक्त आप थोड़ा टच दे दो, थोड़ा हग दे दो, थोड़ा मस्ती कर लो, the child will feel kind of anxious, and the child will not feel anxious. The child is not insecure anymore, because the child knows that if something goes wrong or if any issues are going to pop up, I have people to back, right? I have somebody who's going to support. So that is what is needed for children at the moment.
So basically, it all depends on us as parents, right? In the sense, like, set a timetable. Okay, but then we as parents need to be innovative also. And I think one thing good for parents is the more you spend time with your kids, is the more you'll your stress towards work, stress towards what's going to happen in future will go away. Not fully, but to a certain extent. Start talking to your kids, spend some time which you were not spending before.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Prashant, your child gives you, the child lets you know while the talks are on, you will be talking, they let you know what their choices are or how they want to keep themselves engaged. You just need to listen to the non-verbal and verbal communication, and you're sorted.
Definitely. Earlier, we used to have this excuse, okay, being in Bombay, living in metro cities, right? You leave early, you come back late, and you spend only half an hour, 15-20 minutes with your kid. Okay. Now you've given the entire 24/7 time, you can stay with your kids. And even if you're working from home, okay, you're not working for 8 hours continuously like how you do in the office. Okay. It's just for 3 hours, 4 hours and whatever. So rest of the time, spend with the kids, give them direction, because that will also help you, normalize the stuff which is happening outside. Okay. One of the thing is, how much information, there was one question, how much information should we pass on to the kids about this particular COVID-19 pandemic? With all these deaths, with all these other things happening, okay, what kind of an information we need to pass on to the kids?
Okay. Keep it data oriented, right? Definitely, everything in the news is not correct.
Definitely.
So
right.
I'm sure you, as a parent, you are just screening the information. Keep it extremely data oriented, because it's not the COVID information that you're passing on. You're also setting up a behavior to manage this kind of this kind of an information intake for him or her in the future. So first thing is data oriented. Second thing is how long can this last, and take plus minus 3 months to it. Add plus minus 3 months to it, and then plan the course of action to it. The kid will be better prepared if you if you give these kind of, which Namrata and Riddhi said, if you give these kind of behavior building habits for now. Yes, according to one study which was sent to me by the director of Citibank in New York, that the entire that shows the entire graph of COVID, on which we based our own commerce and definitely the business strategies. This is going to last for Riddhi says it's a year, Namrata says it's a year. They are right on dot. The data says it's a year minimum. Before the vaccine hits the market, we cannot really consider that the danger is over. So if you cannot get into that point, you are planning for the entire duration. Even if the schools open, I doubt how much of an attendance will be allowed even post August or post September. So all these kind of yes, examinations would have to happen. So we might have some kind of a changes there, but I'm still looking forward to see a situation where the vaccine has hit the market. Only then we are safe and free. Give it directly to your child. Give the data to your child. No gossip on that. No deduction drawing on our own. No assumption making. Absolutely not, because this will not be just one crisis situation in his or her life. There would be several, right? If you just look into the near future, 2008 was there. 2000 down. After then, they came the downturn. So global meltdown, downturn, political changes, all these things, global political scenes changes, all these things will keep coming. So your child needs to learn how to handle information right now. Just the data, a strict timeline and a plan. Post that timeline is what your child needs, nothing more than that.
What I feel is that somewhere, yeah, giving a little bit of data is good to them, but children are going to actually imitate the emotions that you put forward to them. So when you convey anything to your children, just be mindful that you're not communicating any sort of fear or anxiety in them. Let them see this as a period which is neutral, which is happening for the good, and we are under lockdown so that we are safe. If we put that sort of an emotion in them, I think they will remember it as not something extremely negative. Yes, it is something that we are not very happy about, but at the same time, if you want to make sure that in the long run they do not have very negative outlook towards whatever has happened, just make sure that you're not instilling any sort of fear and anxiety in them while you're saying it. Yes, you might feel it yourself, but don't convey it in front of your children. You need to be very, very careful that whatever you mention to them, and don't let them watch the news directly. I think because we all know media पे सब कुछ बिकता है in a certain way, to be very
Correct.
honest, जो दिखता है वो actually बिक रहा है. So you have to make sure that you don't give them direct access to this, to the television. Convey to them only what you think is right, and which makes them feel better and does not make them feel worse about the situation.
So I have something to share here. Recently, just 2 weeks back, I had little fever, and my 9-year-old had been watching news, and he thought that Mama has fever. There was just 99, not even 100 touch, and he felt, okay, Mama, you've got corona, you need to go for testing. And that's the time I realized that this is something which is wrong information he has in his mind. I said, let's talk about it. And my husband overheard this. So we three sat, and me and my husband ensured that we give him the right information. But from that day, it's been 2 weeks that we keep him so busy other ways that he doesn't sit and watch TV per se, to be precise, the news. So he watches Ramayana, he is making all that Ban, Danush, everything at home, but he is not using or watching, using television to watch the news. But the news is explained to him by me and my husband. So we keep him updated, but we keep him updated to the extent we want him to know at his age, at 9-year-old, what he wants to know. Because while he was watching news, he thought that I have got corona. I was so scared. He didn't sleep. Okay, and I certainly would not want a 9-year-old having this effect that he doesn't sleep. All right, so I would, yes, I agree with both Nabomita and Namrata, is information has to be given to the children, but to the right source. Social media and television is not something which I would prefer any parent to be allowing the child to watch. Let it route through you. That's the easiest way to do, so that the right information, the right source is known to your child,
Okay. Okay. This pandemic has, given rise to, in a very big way, online classes, online training, and the future, I guess, from what we are thinking of is like, at least for the 1 year, okay, the future is online education, online training. That's what we are, everybody's saying. So as a parent, okay, it's new for parents, it's new for students, it's new for the teachers also. So uh, how do everyone work in tandem? Because for students, it is like, just wear your shirt, sit down in front of the laptop, or, in front of the mobile, and the teacher is on the other side. So this is a new experience for them. For the parents, it is like networking issues, okay, and you have just one laptop. Who will work on it? The online, the kids are going on it, or is the father or the mother. So as a whole, as a group, how do we tackle this? As a teacher, as a parent, how do we come together? Because that is where the future is. We see online classes, okay, even as you said, if we have this pandemic getting over, or the lockdown getting over, this thing has been, it's so much deep rooted inside us, that we will not allow our kids to go to school even if the school is open, because you have 45, 50 kids sitting in one class. So as a parent, as a teacher, how do we tackle this? Just one simple kind of there's no solution to this, but any thing.
So I feel, sorry, Nabomita, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Prashant, you explained the scenario where the kid is using the technology, right? And the teacher is on the other side of it. Kids are extremely good with technology.
Right.
What we need to train them is to understand working in silos.
Hmm.
They are not prepared for it right now, right? They do not know how to just sit with the technology, with a gadget, and complete an entire work, right? They know how to play with it. They do not know how to finish a project with it, which
Project
they
with it.
would have done with a team, or in the classroom, or with their classmates around, or maybe certain educational support, a tuition teacher or somebody. Right now they're just sitting with a laptop or a smartphone, and they have to do it alone. So working in silos is what I think that kids need to be trained on. Honestly, we have been, I mean, future of work is an area which takes care of all these things. It's been 10 years in the industry now. We have prepared the industry really well. So professionals to a great extent are prepared to handle it. I think that kids needs to be trained on it, on managing, on how to work silos and balance technology at the same point of time. And managing time, I think that's routine, right? It may not set too easily. It's only just 1 month in the lockdown scenario. It might take some more time, but I think, as Namrata said earlier, and Riddhi also mentioned it, that once you form an habit, once you form a daily schedule, it might not be too difficult to handle that. Riddhi, yes, your point, please.
So I'm seeing educators and children handling this whole situation in such a beautiful way. Even there's no human touch at the moment between the educator and the child. There is no presence happening, but I see educators managing it beautifully. I mean, kudos to them. They're coming up with such different, innovative things to keep children busy, and in terms of conducting the classes, so that it's not much pressure for a child. And I understand it's going to be a little pressure for the educators, but I sincerely appreciate the efforts all the educators are taking to keep the children, off in the schools, off school, but certainly in the study mode. And that's a big relief to the parents as well, because that few hours, that 2-3 hours, parents can complete their work and get back to the child. So they have some breathing time as well while the children are busy with the school. Secondly, yes, the children have adapted to the new setup, the study on the, through technology. That's, I mean, they've done it very beautifully, but Nabomita said rightly, they need to understand how to work in, alone, right? Because they are not used to doing it. I'm talking about 7-8 years, because this is the age group I handle. I handle till 14-15 years. And that's where they have never been exposed to this thing. Since they have taken it, but I'm very happy that they adopted it wonderfully. Just a word of caution here is that while the youngsters are up on the, study, there have to be parental guidance put up on the mobile phone or the laptop or the monitor, whichever computer you're using, or your iPad, as a matter of case. But then it is important that parental guidance and parental watch is necessary for sure. Just not leaving up to the child to study, because you never know while the child is studying or while the assignments are done and while the teacher is not there, what other sites the child is going, or what other you never know what the pop-ups are educating child on. So you have to be a little careful and keep a watch over it at what your child is learning, and keep yourself a little involved. And these days I found it very good, because educators are even creating a small WhatsApp group and keeping the parents aware of what the studies has been and what chapter has been touched upon or explained. So I am loving this. Before, what was happening, Prashant, that parents were working in their space and the educators were working in their space. But yeah, but currently I'm seeing that there's a wonderful relation been developed between the parents and the educators. And this is something which I have been always preaching. When parents and educators are on the same page, the children are sorted. Right. So I personally believe that.
I think there was a very nice point which Riddhi had mentioned earlier in the first section is it's time to unlearn and relearn. I think unlearning definitely is a difficult process to do, because it's been years and decades that the same culture of schooling has been going on. And I think technology coming into the picture is a suddenly new thing for a lot of parents and a lot of children too. But what's important is for parents to first accept that, now this is a new way of learning and we need to accept it. So if parents accept it, I think children will accept it much more easily. So for the parents, please, I would suggest that, get used to this process. It's going to be, even if normal schools start, I'm sure they're going to still resort to this in the long run. This is the future. Let's, just take it as a thing and accept it, whether we like it or not, but this is the future which is going to come into the picture. So working with, as a team together would do much better to us than cribbing about it or not being okay with it, because that in turn will make the child also negative towards it.
There was a question from one sec.
I think we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, from Jaspreet Kaur. How to tackle a child under depression during lockdown? Is it okay to leave them alone if they wish to? Something like lock himself alone 24/7. That's the question.
Okay.
So, please, Riddhi, go ahead.
Yeah. So I would suggest, if the child is below 13 or 14 years of age group, is where, and if you feel that the child is on the early stage of depression, it's not okay to leave the child, but to give them some space. But after all, come back to the child and talk where the child needs help, not from you, from the professional help. Connect with the right person. But that situation needs to be addressed. And I'm sure post 15, Namrata handles well. So she will give a glimpse of what post 15 of the children is on early stage of depression. But below 15 or 14, I would surely suggest that parents, even if it's not a direct intervention in that space or directly intruding in the space of the child, but be there, because that's where the child needs you. And if you feel that you are not well versed with how to handle the situation, call up a psychologist friend, call up a counselor, and just understand how to deal with it and deal it. Right now, it's on social media. It would not be correct to give a exact solution to this, because you have not mentioned because of what the child is facing, depression or an early stage of depression. Lockdown is a very broad term at the moment, and so right way of giving solution is something that you can reach out to anybody of us or any counselor you are aware of and understand how to deal with situation, because it will be more personalized for you.
For teenagers and the youth, what I would suggest is, yes, as parents, definitely be there. Make them a part of whatever you can do, but don't force yourself on them. That is a certain age where hormones are definitely on the peak and a lot of children like their own space. Let them be, but important for you to introduce them to a professional at this time. Because at this age, if they have somebody they can speak to without being judged, I think it's the most crucial age. It's the most crucial age for them because they are transiting from a child to now becoming or coming into an adolescent phase. That's where a lot of things get defined for them about life, about the way of perceiving life, the way you're going to look at life in the future. So important for you to have somebody beside them who understands them. If you think that they don't confine in you, get them in touch with somebody who you trust and who also will communicate with you alongside and guide you as a parent, because when it comes to children or youth, I think parents equally need counseling as much as children do. So when it comes to any
Absolutely.
professional, so when I'm sure Riddhi agrees to this, that she counsels the parents more than she counsels the children a lot of times. And that's what goes with us also when it comes to youth. At least what I do is I definitely keep parents in the loop. Yes, I speak a lot to the youth more, or to the child who's in concern, but yes, alongside do speak to the parent, because that is equally as important. And also just make sure that they're not confined in the room for 24 hours. That will just take them more and more deeper into the concern that they are into.
Thank you, Namrata and Riddhi. Prashant, here's what I would want to add to that.
Yeah.
In this particular situation, right, if the child is going into confinement, right, there is a serious issue. Reason being, we are already in confinement, right? The space for the child has gone so much that he or she is not safe in presence of the people whom he or she is supposed to trust. Now, as a parent, if you try to communicate with the child, you're even pushing them beyond that limit, right? You're just pushing them away from you. First thing is, yes, make them understand that you understand them. However, communication is not the only, talking to somebody is not the only way to communicate. There are non-verbal areas of communicating and building trust as well, right? There are other areas through which the child, the food being served to child, or anything that's the normal routine which is being offered to child without encroaching his or her area. Those are non-verbal ways of communication, and then eventually you get there. If you are if you are good enough to handle it on your own, I would not suggest it, though. If you have an access to a trained professional, great. If you do not have any access, I think understand that it's a you're walking on eggshells, right? The child is already I will not say grieved, but already sad to an extent that he just cannot take it. He had to build his boundaries, say it out loud. So don't try to crash in, don't respect it, value it, and then build trust so that he opens up. It is going to take time, but I believe that's the only way out, or else I understand a friend of mine who took her kid to a counselor, realized that the kid was already into substance abuse, right? So it had gone that far, and the parent did not even realize. So understand what kind of gray areas it could be. So you just gate crashing or trying to march in will only make the child sad more. So child be more sad. So just plan it and then take countered steps. That's my suggestion.
I so agree with you.
Yeah, I think this one is for you, Namrata. I guess Padma Chopra, staying in a joint family. It's very difficult to give time to kids. So how do we manage with that?
All right. So, yeah, being in joint families, you have a lot of responsibilities. I completely understand that. I've lived in a joint family and I know that it's not very easy. However, what's important is your time to be quality time. I think more than the quantity, it's quality if you can give, because you have so many challenges on the other end. Make sure that time and again you are a part of it in between. But in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, make sure that you give them enough time, which is only between you and the child. Make sure that there's no technology, there's no gadgets, there's no distraction being a part of it. As parents, both of you, or as a family, if there's 3 or 4 of you, get together and make sure that you have only your time at that time. And at that time, you'll be able to understand your children better. Once you understand your children, then you can plan your day or plan their day in a certain manner where they are engaged throughout, and in between, whenever you get a chance to become a part of it. I'm sure in the afternoon you get a little time where you're free, you're done with your morning chores, you're done with a little preparation for the evening. In the afternoon, whatever time you get a little bit, curb down on your sleeping time maybe by 10-15 minutes and spend that little time with them, where, or either best thing to do is sleep with them for that half an hour, 45 minutes. I think that touch and that energy that happens at that time makes a lot of difference to your children. They feel more close to you, and they'll also convey. So while you're putting them to bed, also talk to them. They convey a lot of things that are inside their heart which they're not able to communicate through the day because of a lot of chaos going on outside. That's the time when they convey everything that they really feel, and wo bhi dil se bolte hai, jo bhi hota hai na, that's the time, because that's the time the subconscious is the most active, and it opens up, it speaks its heart out. So this morning and evening time, and like Riddhi said, the small things that you do, the way you wake them up, be very mindful, the way you even serve them food, the way you're talking about food to them, these small things are the best ways to spend time with them. They'll never feel disconnected with you. Don't think like you need to do big activities together, you need to spend hours together. It's hard for you as a parent if you have so many responsibilities to do, because it's not something that is, by choice, that you're saying I can't spend time. It's a challenge that you have, but find ways which are more creative. Like I said, use your right brain more, come up with creative ways of connecting with them rather than just the logical set patterns or things that you see on Google. I think Riddhi can definitely add more to it. She guides children a lot.
I think you've put it very beautifully. Yes, there are a lot of things which can be done with the children, and I mean, there is lot of things you're involved in your daily routine, your child, and you are sorted. It's just that when you don't start involving your child is where all the issues happen. Involve your child and things are good. Things are good. Wherever you are, whether in the kitchen, whether in the bedroom, whether in the computer room, just be with your child. Na? Whatever the child is doing, spend time. There are a lot of ways to be with your child. It's just not that and as rightly said, as I mentioned before also, morning and evening time is the best time you spend time, as Namrata also said, and involve your child in the daily routine. That's all. Talk it out. Talk is something. Listen and talk. There are two things which every parent needs to do at the moment.
I think every human needs to learn to do that. First listen and then talk.
Absolutely.
And a lot of things are said in between the lines, they are never always direct. You need to learn to listen in between the lines. I think that's going to be much more easier. Not easy to do, but easy to then work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Prashant, there's a question on how to make teaching enjoyable for children learning at home, their attention span. Okay, to that parent or teacher, whoever, this is my suggestion. There are communities of teachers, online communities of teachers. One of them is Teachers Help Teachers. It's a product built by Rakhi Chhabria, a mother who was not happy with the way education was made available to her sons. So she built this community of teachers where teachers come and share lessons plan on disrupting on how to teach the students better. Be a part of such communities. I'm sure there are plethora of ideas in there. You can even add questions there. So this is just one community that I'm talking about. In the internet, there are many. I think on Facebook there are a couple of teachers community too. So that's my suggestion. In case you're running out of idea in how to engage them, join the communities and see which idea works.
And I would like to add a little to it. If the time is with the educator, well and good. If you're able to reach out to the communities, wonderful, because they are surely going to help you out. Easy solutions to you. What you may always inculcate while the child is getting bored at home to study or not able to, spend more time in study, you can make that study time very interesting. So what you can start with some puzzles together, which you can solve together, whether it's on paper, whether it's on the pieces, either ways, or either you can start with talking about what is happening in the country, something on general knowledge, right? post that. There are 1-minute questions which you can just throw up on each other, 5 or 10 questions. So my child is totally energized. Then, eventually take the child, root the child towards studies, finish that and end your study with, maybe you can come up with using some colors and do some drawing or mandala or whatever things you do. But this is how you're making your study time interesting. And as Nabomita says, yes, there are a lot of online communities which are giving a lot of solutions on how to use it with different studies. The subjects I meant to say. So you can use that, and it's easy. It's easy. Just try it out. That's one step you need to take out of your comfort zone. Go up on Facebook, go up on the websites and just check. So maybe it might take 10-15 minutes for you, but you'll have a lot of solutions to this thing.
I think we have a couple of other questions. Prashant, should we go ahead with the Q&A? I think you're mute right now. We are unable to hear you.
Okay, sorry, I was muted, right. Yeah, so, we have 10 minutes. Okay, and I guess we have kind of answered all the questions in some way or the other. But
there's somebody who's asked that kids are not getting out from so many days, so this increases the chance of being lethargic and obese. What can we do to make a shift in their habits? What I have been doing for myself, I would say, is, and also applicable to children, is develop some sort of exercise to do at home. Also try and go on the terrace. I think we also have access to the terrace a lot of times. Yes, make sure that you're wearing your masks just to be on the safe, because you don't know who's coming up on the terrace while you're there. But even if you're at home, a little bit of exercise, yoga are things that you can do at home. Keep your windows open if you need to, so that you have some fresh air. You have a lot of online videos that are going on, online courses that are going on, which are related to physical fitness. Do it with your child. Don't just leave your child to do it themselves. I think it's very important to team up with your child when you want them to do such things. They feel more interest in it. Use a lot of music in the process, because music definitely helps engage children along. So do it together with them, and you make sure that it's not, everyone wants to have pastas, pizzas right now because hum ghar pe hain and hame sab kuch khane ka man hota hai. But I think this is the time when you need to keep your immunity at its best. Try and consume more healthy food, and whatever you consume is what your child is going to consume. So make it creative, make it something that's tasty, but keeping in mind that you're putting in only those kind of foods that are going to increase the immunity and not reduce the immunity in any way.
And plus, there are many parents who are, posting their morning regime on the Facebook.
Yes.
Right? WhatsApp, Facebook. So this is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. Guys, include your kids in that.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's very simple.
Absolutely.
It's very simple. Include your kids in that. You must be doing it 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, today you don't have to go out. So instead of doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning, you start at 7 o'clock or 7:30.
Yeah.
But make sure whatever you're doing, include your kids in that.
Yes, so there are groups, Prashant, which has a parent-child exercise regime. They have started, half an hour, 40 minutes, and parent-child together.
There are many, yes.
So obviously, yes. So they can, and they do such exercise wherein 2 people have to do, 3 people have to do, so that you're involved, a family is involved in this.
I had one of my clients who very nicely made a maze, and using numbers, using alphabets, and, turning, so you have to run certain, steps, and you have to walk certain steps. And all of this was done so nicely in their living room only. So it's not like you need to go outside always. There were certain obstacles that were placed so that the child needs to jump, the child needs to do, and the parent did it along with the child, so it's so beautifully done, and they shot the video so nicely. I said, wow, this is something really creative that they came up with on their own, both the child and the mother. So don't think that yes, nothing can be done at home. You just need to use your creativity a lot more and come up with ways of how you can do it. That's all.
I want to add something on that obesity. Mr. Amit Joshi, I'm sure your child loves to eat food. This is the right time to YouTube and find the healthy options for pizza. I mean, take my words. This all thanks to this lockdown. I have mastered the art of making wheat pizza without yeast or without cheese. So get your child a part on. I mean, make your child a part of it. Google all the healthy foods, all the healthy options to the same food that they like. I mean, there are amazing, incredible amount of content which is being uploaded on YouTube. I thank all the content creators there. They are creating almost healthy options to burger, donuts, anything, name it, they are creating it. And most of it is not a scam, it is actually good. There are a couple of options that I tried, they are coming really good. Just as Namrata said, puzzles, yes. Food, make your child a part of it. You are teaching him skill that he will thank you even after 100 years after you are dead. Take my words. Healthy
And this
pizza,
is
healthy junk.
Yes.
Go ahead, teach your kids.
this is the right time. This is the right
Yes,
time. You have,
absolutely.
you know,
And-
everything cancelled. There's no availability of junk food, nothing, and
And
everything.
I would like to add a little to this is while you do not mix up the child's screen time and the khana pina, you know, make the maximum use of this time to have lunch and dinner together so that the child is talking, you know, while the child is on screen, the child doesn't have how much and what has been, you know, just going in the stomach. It's better that the child sits, talks and eats while on the table. It's kind of a bonding, but side by side, your child knows what the child is eating and how much it is eating. He is eating, and also that whether utna uske stomach mein jagah hai ki nahi hai. While he is watching TV and eating, he doesn't have measure of how much he's eaten, right? So that leads to obesity.
Yeah, I think what Nabomita was sharing is that this is the time where you inculcate life skills in children. Skills
Absolutely.
that are going to be useful for them in life. I think Riddhi and me have been voicing this out for a very long time, saying that as much as educational skills are important, life skills are the need of the hour. Somewhere, yes, when we were young, our parents instilled it in us by default. But today's times, I think children somewhere are not getting access to knowing how to live life in future. For example, tomorrow a child grows up and they need to live alone. I don't think children know it that well of how to cook, how to take care of a house, how to sweep, swap, you know, the basics of living. I think those also are very important for the children to know in today's times, because life may change to a great extent after this lockdown and things are happening, because a lot of population is going to go down, a lot of financial concerns are going to rise. We are going to have a different lifestyle, maybe not. I'm just voicing out what's there in my head, but there are changes that are definitely going to happen, and we must make our children know how life is in real and not just what's in books, because what we read in books and what's in real also has, you know, different things to it. As much as educational skills are important, I think life skills are extremely important in today's times, and this is the right time for you to do it. You have enough, at least the next 2 months you have more to do this for sure.
So talking about me at the moment, I was like in December, I was saying my diary is packed till June, and time changed, you know. All of a sudden my diary is just, I mean, it's a piece of paper. I'm not working as the way it has been scheduled. So I would always suggest a small tip from me to all the parents: be in here and now. You never know what is the situation tomorrow. None of us had predicted pandemic like this. None of us had predicted that we would be staying in home like this, just not going out and working from home, which we are not used to doing, specifically we Indians, right? Because the work from home culture is very less in our country, but we are doing it. So I think be in here and now. Whatever happens is going to happen for our good, because we are also evolving with this pandemic, all of us.
True.
Right. So with this, I guess we'll, we are almost out of time. Okay. So I'll just have a brief closing this thing, point out some points I've written down. It's like this pandemic has given us a proper time to be with the kids. Okay. Give quality time to the kids. Number two is we have to use technology in an innovative way, not to stop it or shorten it just because the kids have much more time with the mobiles or the iPads and all. Okay. And the most important is be the friends they are missing. they are used to their friends in the evening, in the school, everywhere. So just be the friends, okay, their school friends or their society friends, whatever, be their friends, even if it's for half an hour, 1 hour, be their friends and share things with them. I guess just your concluding thoughts about this.
Very, very nicely mentioned, Prashant. Thank you.
Okay, I think Anjali Agarwal,
Yeah.
she asked how would she find such group which Riddhi was talking about. So Riddhi, I have answered her that she can reach out to you on FB and you'll take it through.
Yeah. So she is one of the parent who follows me on Facebook, and under my
Oh,
parent
wonderful.
tales, yes, under my parent tales, I have been putting a lot of tips for parents and children. So I'm sure she'll be able to refer that and keep herself and her child, busy or mindfully busy, I would say.
Yeah. Those groups, the group that you talked about, where the kids and the parent and the kid, I really love that. Even though I do not have a kid, I would want to see what is happening. I love that kind of an exercise. This is sweet. I mean, this is the time where, yes, we have always been proud that the next generation is so smart that they talk to Siri better than their parents. Now we turn the table and let the parents be a lot more interesting than Siri, so that the kids talk to the parent and not the Siri.
True.
So I guess we'll close with this.
Thank you, Prashant. Thanks you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Thanks.
Bye,
Prashant.
Nabomita. Bye,
Bye.
Namrata.
Bye.
Riddhi.
See you. Bye, Riddhi. Bye, Nabomita. Take care.